Bruchim Abayim, we are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Hilchot Shabbat, and we're up to Siman Shin Bet Seif Gimal in Shulchan Aruch in Daf Pei Vav Amud Bet of your regular prints of Mishna Berura's. Maran Shulchan Aruch writes, Mekaplim Kelim B'Shabbat, you could fold your garments on Shabbat, Lesorech Shabbat, for the need of Shabbat itself, Lelovsham bo bayom, in order to wear them on that day, Vedavka be'ada, and only be'ada mehad u'b'hadashim, only when you are not doing an exact fold. One person does a regular fold. You know, when you want to be very super precise, you use two people. So be'ada mehad u'b'hadashim shadayin lo nidka besu. And we're talking about garments that are fresh, new, that have not been washed yet, and they are levanim. They are white garments. Ve'en lo le'achlif, and also you don't have anything else to wear. Ve'im chaser echad me'elu hatenaim, and Maran writes, if you're missing any of these conditions, either it's not new, or it's not white, or it's not one person doing it, or you have something to wear aside from this, asur. Then it's going to be asur twofold. Ve'yesh mi she'omer, and Maran brings a second opinion over here, the lekaplo, that folding it, shelo keseder kipulo, not on its original folds, it will be mutar bechol inyan. It will be mutar in any scenario. V'nir'in devarav, and we hold like that. It's a sensible psak, writes Maran Shulchan Aruch. Hence, obviously, the whole sugya of folding your talit on Shabbat, not folding your talit on Shabbat, obviously is all over here tucked away in Siman Shin Bet Seif Gimal. So without further ado, we have to study to see what exactly are the heterim that people rely on when you have talits in the shul, and the rabbi says, well, the shul you could fold on its original folds. You should not be leaving the talitot of the community just haphazardly around. What exactly is the heter? What would be the halachic parameters for being able to fold something that you want to wear tomorrow, whether it's your talit, whether it's your pants, and so on and so forth. It says the Mishna Berura over here. Now, before we even discuss the Mishna Berura, Rabbi Chaim Palaji writes in his Sefer Lev Chaim. Rabbi Chaim Palaji was a prolific writer, a tremendous gaon. He was the grandson of Rabbi Yosef Chazan of the Chikre Lev fame. And he writes in Chelek Gimel of his Tshuvot Lev Chaim, She'asur b'Shabbat v'Yom Tov likloa misnefet al gabei hakova. They had back in the Chachamim of the Sfaradim, the way they had their hat, the equivalent, was that they had a like the Sephardi Eastern hats. They were hats without brim, like the Turkish or Moroccan hats as well. And then around it, they would have a misnefit wrapped around, and that was to how to fold and wrap. The misnefit was a chokhmah. And he writes there that on Shabbat and Yom Tov, you have to have it ready from before, even though that on Chol HaMoed, people are noheg lehakel, they do it. He says even on Chol HaMoed is not so pashut. This whole thing of folding, could have very relevant nafkaminas. Again, this part of it is not necessarily nowadays relevant, but it's not just folding your garments, says the Lev Chaim, says Rabbi Chaim Palaji, but it is far more relevant than that. And he also writes, he also wrote a Sefer Kaf HaChaim of Rabbi Chaim Palaji, not Rabbi Chaim Yaakov Chaim Sofer. And he writes there The same halacha. But Ben Ish Chai does not agree with that. The Ben Ish Chai in his Sefer HaPa'alim, in the first Chelek in Orach Chaim Siman Chaf Bet, he disagrees with that. He says, you could do it. You're wrapping it around something to prepare it. He says you can't do it on Shabbat. It's mitaken mana, but the misnefit that you do on the head, not a professional thing. You do it on your head. You wrap it around. That would be mutar. He writes, and that's what he writes in his Sefer Ben Ish Chai, as well in Parashat Pekudei, in this week's parasha actually. So says the Mishna Berura Chafetz Chaim writes. לצורך שבת, דאם אין מקפלים, רגילים שמתקמטים. If you don't fold them, they will be wrinkled up, and therefore לצורך שבת, it will be mutar, right? And you want to wear it that day, and therefore it will be mutar. ולכן אסור לקבל הטלית, אף על פי שמצוות ציצית כל היום, even though that mitzvah of tzitzit is the whole day, and it could be white and new and all those things, still, to fold the tzitzit will be asur, because mikol makom kevan shem b'tato le'tatef bo, because you're not planning to wear it again after you take it off after musaf, it will be asur. Imlo makom shenagu le'tatef b'talitot, unless you live in a place that time of mincha also they do with talit, which again it's not the common minhag, and this is what the Kaf HaChaim paskins the name of Pri Hadash of Chizkiah de Silva as well in and also Maran Chida in Birkei Yosef paskins the same way, but the Mishna Berura himself later on in the name of the Eliyahu Rabbah, this is in Ot Chaf Dalit, the Mishna Berura writes that even if you don't know that you need it during the course of the day, still is mutar. Right? You're not sure if you're going to need it, right? Because Levishat Begadim, he writes, in bo shiur. Wearing clothing, it's like having a cup that you could wash during Shabbat. It's not considered washing cups. It's not considered hachana for after Shabbat, because there's no limit to drinking. People are drinking all the time, and therefore it will be considered sorach Shabbat. Here is the same thing. There's no shiur to Levishat Begadim. You may decide all of a sudden your thing gets dirty, you want to wear something else, and you never know if you're going to come to wear it, and therefore that would be mutar, says the Eliyahu Rabbah. Now be'adam echad, this that you could do it only with one person, avalo b'shnei bnei adam, you can't do it with two people. Mishum the shnayim mitpashtim akmatim, when you do it with two people, it's really perfect. In all the creases open up, all of the wrinkles go away. It looks like you're fixing a garment, therefore you shouldn't do it professionally with two people. Like that, one person. If you're using the table to set it up and fold it professionally, that also is considered like you're doing it with two people. So therefore it will be a problem, says the Mishna Berura. Maran Chida Paskin is the same way on this as well. Lo nitkabesu. This study has to be new ones that they have not been washed yet. The Chafetz Chaim writes, "Lefish kol shlo nitkabesu hem kashim." A garment before you wash it for the first time, they're stiff, they're hard. Ve'en ma'arim nikmot, and their thing doesn't get ruined easily, right? They don't get wrinkled easy. Ve'en chashuv. And therefore, the folding is not such a big help. It's not such a big tikkun. Therefore, it will be mutar and not be considered metaken mana. Right now, how about folding? When you have guests, you want to fold the napkins nicely, whether you have napkins, or you have those like cloth napkins, the fancy ones. You want to fold them nicely. L'chvod ha'orchim, is that mutar? Is that not mutar? So Rabbi Neubert writes in Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata, the name of his Rebbe, Rabbi Shlomo Orbach Alva Shalom, he says that doing a regular fold, it's mutar. That's not, you're doing a napkin. That's not tikkun mana in a napkin. It's not really shayach. But it says don't do a fancy schmancy, professional fold. That already will be a question. Now, folding paper on Shabbat would be mutar. If you're learning a sefer and you see something very interesting, you want to take, mark that paper, so to speak, for after Shabbat. So you want to fold the tip corner of that page. This way, on Motzei Shabbat, you could find your place easily and come back to it. That's mutar. There's no isur of folding on Shabbat, and it's not considered mechin from Shabbat to Chol. It's fine, no problem, right? Now, same is with, let's say you come to the shul and is the schedule of the tefillot on a regular A4 paper, or there's let's say a pamphlet of Torah ideas, right? A Torah magazine, so to speak. You want to fold it to fit it in your pocket or to fit in your talit bag. That's fine. Again, that folding of the thing is not considered the isur. A folding, it will be a mutar. That's not a problem. Now, as also is from Rabbi Neubert in Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata, but be as it may, the Mishna Berura writes that it has to be white. This the Shulchan Aruch says that we're only talking about white garments. The bitzvuim akipul metakeniyot, because in white you don't see necessarily the small wrinkles. In other colors you see small wrinkles much more, and therefore it looks like less of a tikkun by white than it is in black or any other color, and it will be therefore mutar in white. That this you have other garments. If you have other garments to wear on Shabbat, then you don't have the same heter. Because even though they're not as nice as this one, they're not as beautiful as this one, still would be a heter. It would be what you have to wear, and therefore it would take away from your allowance to fold the original garments that you had. Now, the Shulchan Aruch paskins, if you have other garments, it would be asur for you to fold the original one. And the Mishna Berura over here writes something amazing. It says, "V'chol shken im en da'ato lilbosh kelal bo bayom." Aside from the fact that you have other garments, you are not planning to wear the original one. You are planning to wear the other ones. So even though that you would be planning to wear this very garment afterwards, still would be asur to fold it, even if you want to wear it. Kol shken, if you're mamash done with this one, you want to put it away, and you want to wear something else. Umikol makom b'yom tov shchal be'erev Shabbat, but in a yom tov that falls to be on erev Shabbat, mutar lekapel talitot kesheposhto, by talit that you're wearing on yom tov, and yom tov is on Friday, so you're going to be wearing it tomorrow morning as well. Then you could fold it if it's new and white and all that. Even though that you don't want to wear it anymore today on Yom Tov, still is mutar because you have done Eruv Tafshirin. You've done Eruv Tafshirin, and preparations from Yom Tov to Shabbat are all included in that. And part of that would be folding your talit, preparing it for tomorrow, which is Shabbat, as well. And this is what it says in Eorabah. Now, but the Rav Kiva Eger brings the Mishna Berura. He says the af beloi niach eruv tafshirin shari. Even without eruv tafshirin, it still will be mutar, because Im hi smucha leShabbat. If it's samuch leShabbat, it will be still mutar. Fine. So says the Mishna Berura, on the last piece, Shulchan Aruch brought that there's a shita that holds that by folding it on not regular folds, but on new folds, not the original folds, it will be mutar in any case. Says the Mishna Berura, she'ein lekipul ze shum kiyum, because this second fold that you're creating right now doesn't have any kiyum, right? You come back afterwards and you go back to the original fold, and therefore it's not helping. If anything, is hurting the thing by creating new creases in the place that you're folding. Ve'en kan metaken klal. The certainly is not considered metaken. Manam, but if yichach mutar afilu ein bo echad me'elu arba pratim, you could do it on any garment. Afilu en da'ato lelovsho bo bayom, even though that you're not thinking of wearing it the same day. Now, this Shulchan Aruch paskins, like says venir in devarav, it seems very logical and sensible. And the Mishna Berura says, all the achronim, chen satmu achronim ledina. That's the psak. Umikol makom mishirotze lachmir alasmo. If you want to be machmir and not fold your talit at all, then that would be adif, says the Machzit HaShekel. And he afterwards says, Basiyin et amitot milel Shabbat l'Shabbat, or chatchila tov yoter shiasiyah me'erev Shabbat, aval ein masiyin mishabbat lemotzei Shabbat. You don't want to set up your bed from Shabbat for Motzei Shabbat already. That's already preparing yourself from Shabbat for Chol. Umikol makom im hamita omedet bebeito. But if the bed is in the middle of your living room, right? For those who have a smaller space and some of the kids, or it's open, you can see the beds that are not made, and it's not pleasant. It's ugly for Shabbat. It's a disgrace. Bizayon Shabbat. She'amod kach. Mutar la'asiyah the mikri sorach Shabbat. That's considered sorach Shabbat already. The Magen Avraham writes to clean up the bed and make the bed nicely. The chavot Shabbat, when it's disgraceful to have it unmade and dirty, therefore it would be considered something that you can do. Now, how about the folding of Shabbat talitot, right? I have over here from Shemesh Umagen, from Rabbi Masas, Shalom Masas, that for folding the talitot of Shabbat that you have, you're not going to be using it today anymore, but you're folding it for next Shabbat. It's my Shabbat talit, right? So in Sherot Utshuvot Shemesh Umagen, writes Rabbi Masas in Chelek Bet Siman Ein Zayin, שהמנהג פשוט לקפלה כסדר קיפולה. The minhag is pashut, that you fold it nicely on its fold, no problem. What's the source for this minhag? ונהגו כן בפני גדולי הרבנים. It says many people did this in front of גדולי פוסקים, גדולי רבנים, והם פוסק, but no one says a thing. וצריך לומר, he says, maybe we should say, שסמכו על דברי הקולבו. They're reliant on the words of the kolbo, שהקיפול שלנו אינו דומה לקיפול שלהם. Our folds is not the same as the time of Chazal. They were so makpid and specific about it, and so on, and therefore was asur. You know who else writes this? Chacham Ben Zion Abba Shaul's students. They write in Or Etzion in Perek Chaf Bet pretty much the same thing, right? That the minhag nowadays is that you fold the talit after your Shabbat like a regular, on its folds, like a regular fold that you do, and you put it back for next Shabbat. And he says the minhag is to be mekel, even though that is tov la'achmir lekapel talit shelo k'derech kippur. It's better to fold it not on its regular folds, but the maaseh minhag is to be mekel. And it says the Or Etzion at the end, it says al kol panim en la'aniach hatalit lelo kippur klal. You can't just dump the talit like that without any fold. haphazardly in the middle of the shul. And that's not a kavod for Bet Knesset, it's not kavod for the talit. Do some sort of fold, not on its fold, and put it away in an organized way. And that's what the other poskim, Sathon and Eliyahu, all of them write the same way. Now Rav Yitzchak Palaji in Yafel Alev, this is Rav Chaim Palaji's son, and also Rabbi Elisha Dingur, the Rosh Rabbanim of Baghdad of Iraq, in his Sefer Gedulot Elisha, they write that this was the minhag of Baghdad to fold the talitot of the Bet Knesset. The talitot of Bet Knesset you fold, and Kaf HaChaim writes, "Shenireh shahakol lefi atalit." It depends really on the talit. Sheim mitkalkel hidura. If it becomes ruined, it's going to be now all wrinkled up and not nice. Then don't change from the first fold. Just fold it on its folds, and it's mutar. But if it's not going to be mitkalkel, if it's not going to look ugly, mitkalkel hidura, then yesh lahmir will kapel shlok stir kibur. It really depends. If he has clear folds, and if you fold it not on its folds, it's going to look ugly and wrinkled. So then fold it on its folds. If he doesn't have such a clear folds, and you just do it, it's not going to get that ugly. If you fold it not on its folds, then it's better to change and do a different fold. But the Ben Ish Chai writes that those who fold the talitot on the original fold, lo yafehem osim, the Ben Ish Chai writes, they're not doing it good. Sha'arei Maran v'kol ha'poskim lo nichalu, because Maran doesn't like it in Shulchan Aruch. We just read it. Therefore, he says you should fold it, but you should fold it not on its original folds, and that's what Haumadia writes also in the early Teshuvah he wrote in Yechavedat Chelek Bet Siman Mem, and he follows up on that in Chelek Dalet of Chazon Obadia and Hilchot Shabbat, that you should do it not on its original fold. And those who have it on original folds, those people certainly have what to rely on. You don't have to stop them, but the Chatchila, a person should stay away from that. We stop over here, and Be'ezrat Hashem will continue in the days to come. Hazaku Baruch.